There's a fly ball out towards center field. This one's going back, and this one is gone! Taylor gets this one out towards center field to the short porch, and it's a grand slam! That's a floater. Out to short. And it's booted off the shortstop's glove! Just like they drew it from Hollywood. Caladros, the 3-2. Swing and a miss! And the Audubon Green Wave have upset the Kingsway Dragons! Grant Fournier, 2-run shot to right. Welcome to Alcyon Park for Monday afternoon boys soccer here in a Tri-County Conference and a Colonial Conference clash right here at one of the most picturesque parks in South Jersey. Now, those of you that are longtime DWB viewers know how often we go to Alcyon Park for youth baseball, for summer baseball, for Pitman High baseball and softball. Well, today, this is our first time in an alternate location. We're split right between the bleachers of the home and visiting section for, again, Monday afternoon soccer between the Audubon Green Wave and the Pitman Panthers, two teams that have had the most appearances on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. As, again, coming into this Monday afternoon matchup, these two teams played each other last year in a early October Thursday night matchup, which saw Audubon take a win over Pitman by a score of 2-0. But again, Audubon has a lot of personnel changes from last year, the most important of which is Tyler Wiltsey. Wiltsey was a two-sport athlete at Audubon, but he took his talents to Rutgers University to play baseball. Soccer was just something that he enjoyed vehemently and passionately, and in fact, during his tenure at Audubon, between his brother Hayden Wiltsey, who is a junior at TCNJ, and Tyler, who is a freshman at Rutgers, New Brunswick, those two combined for 52% of Audubon's goals between 2022 and 2024. That's crazy to me. I mean, I did the math a couple weeks ago on that, and that was a shocker. That's how much they contributed to this offense. So it could very well be a different game today with different personnel leading the offense. They have Connor Wendell in goal, Joey Zubert in goal for Pitman. He's their 3-year starter with 16 career shutouts, including 2 this year. They beat Wildwood 6-0 in their home opener, and then 3-0 versus Pensgrove for his 16th career shutout. But going into this game, Pitman's 2-2. They started off the year with a great power points game versus Haddon Township, but they lost it 2-0 versus one of the best in South Jersey Group 1, and then a 3-1 loss to Shalleck, which of course one of the best in the Tri-County. They went undefeated in conference play last year with a total record of 19-3. Meanwhile, Audubon, they've got 1 loss, 1 win, and 1 tie. They lost to Lindenwald 2-1 to open the year, 1-0 versus Gateway, and then a 1-1 hard-fought tie versus Collingswood to get their record started after 3 games. I've got Chase Parson on the call today. We are going to be right back with starting lineups and the opening kick here from Alcyon Park in Pitman in just a moment. From Alcyon Park, again, it's the Audubon Green Wave and the Pitman Panthers. I'm Dan Wilkins. Chase Parson joining me on the call this afternoon. It is a beautiful Monday afternoon in mid-September here from Alcyon. It's going to be a windy 78 degrees today at kickoff as the wind is blowing towards us mostly, so that could put a wrench in plans for free kicks and whatnot. But for the fans in attendance, it'll be a doubleheader for them because JV soccer follows. We'll only be on the air for the varsity game today, though, as again, a hard-fought battle between two teams who played each other last year with a 2-0 final for Audubon. They have won their last 4 matchups against Pitman dating back to 2016. They played each other in 2016, 2018, and 2019, and then had a lengthy break before restarting their competition against each other in non-conference play back in 2024. But of course, the goal scorer from last year's game, the only goal scorer from last year's contest, is out. Again, Tyler Wiltsey, he's a freshman now at Rutgers, New Brunswick, playing baseball for the Big Ten program, and now Audubon finds himself, again with the 16-year head coach, Mike Tomasetti, in a new era, in a new predicament for the Green Wave going forward. So we do have our friends over here. That's
You don't see that every day.
I do not see a leashed lizard or iguana every day. All right, so we're going to get ready to go. 40 minutes in each half. Audubon will go to the right side with Connor Wendell in goal. They are in the white road uniforms with their green numbers and yellow accents. Pitman in their standard home black uniforms with the white shoulder stripes and white numbers. Of course, Pitman, their last soccer sectional back in 2010, of course, hanging proudly along a lot of business signs on Broadway, and of course, this town, a lot of pride for their soccer program. Audubon has been getting that pride back with Tomasetti's tenure. And, of course, Matt Newcomb, the longtime head coach for Pitman soccer as well. Last year they were 10-9-1. Audubon, again, with Tomasetti this year, they're 1-1-1 this year. Probably one of their best seasons in recent memory in 2024, 13-6-1. And for Audubon, this is their first non-conference game of the year after playing Lindenwold.
Let's get a look real quick back at the iguanas.
Oh, we wanted to get another.
There's 2.
There's 2 of them.
There's a boy and a girl. The girl has a little pink bow, I believe that is.
Huh.
There's 2. That's just mind-blowing. I've never seen one, let alone 2, leashed iguanas or lizards, whatever they may be, in the same place at one time.
Well, for Audubon, this is their first non-conference game of the year. Their next 3 will all be colonial matchups: Gloucester, Paulsboro, and Woodbury. Standing on top of it for the Green Wave is number 22, Dylan Gallagher, the senior. Wendell in goal for Audubon, Zubert in goal for the Panthers, and we're underway here on Monday afternoon. Colonial and Tri-County clashes. That one immediately goes out. This will be thrown in by number 14 for the Panthers, Lucas Razzie, and then now another pass deflected out. Be brought in by Tyler McElvain. Starting out to the left side this time. Got a good vantage point here from Alcyon Park today as Micah Frost, the sophomore, on the left side. Getting into it that time would be number 11. For the Panthers, that would be at midfield Braden Carr. And then back over to middle to Jake Bowen Ashwin, the senior. Anastasis Novratidis over the middle, the junior, class of 2027. And then now on the far side is Xavier Nikan. Gets it over the middle, turns it over there as Pitman's line of defense comes in handy. Back over to Sean Rizzi, the defenseman, sends this one out to midfield. Touched by Fair, stays in. With Drew Keefe, in tow that time. Out to the right for Grady Datz. Blocked by Nikan at the midsection. And now a drive by Razzie.
It's a great ball.
Here comes Audubon. Tristan Wendell. Shot. No good. Just up and to the right on the shot by Zach Fair, who had 1 goal and 1 assist in his first 3 games. And he had 9 assists in his first 2 varsity seasons before this. And that Lindenwold home opener goal was his first career. So we will have a corner kick here taken by Anastasis Navratidis. He comes into this one with 12 goals, 15 assists in his career. None this year, but has an assist versus Gateway. Wendell's going to come running in. He sends this one high arc on it that time. It is batted down by Keefe. Still rolling out to the left side here. Sean Rizzi goes up. And that one is out of play. So a little bit of action for Joey Zubert early. Hasn't had any shots on goal yet, but he's definitely been pressured for what it's worth. And this will go into the opposite corner for Audubon's second of the day.
Could be going quick here.
Yeah, they're only 2.5 minutes in here, but they're trying to keep the pace up tempo, which is something that Audubon has done a lot in recent years. Here's Fayer. This one looks good, but it's headed off of number 14, Aiden Stollard, the multi-sport athlete. And now that rolls over towards, looks like Ben Cameron got over there that time. And now Pitman turns it over. Back over the middle. This could be a good chance for Jake Bowen Ashwin, but Xavier Nikan comes in with it, and we've got our first whistle of the game. Well, Chase, whenever you do soccer games with us, it feels like it takes a long time to get our first foul. But, I mean, the first game we did this year was Northern Burlington and Delran last Monday, and that game didn't see a foul until 15 minutes in, and then 4 minutes later we saw our first and only goal. This will be a free kick by the Green Wave, and more specifically by number 8, Ben Cameron. Batted over and sent up in the air by McIlvain. And our first touches for Connor Wendell come in as he backpedals. And he'll get ready to send this one away. Good boot that time, just short of midfield. Headed up and a collision and a foul as Lucas Razzie, who already has an assist this year, 5 goals, 5 assists in his career with Pitman. And this is what Chase and I were discussing earlier in this before the broadcast started. Here comes Joey Zubert, who sometimes has been known to attempt free kicks as a goalkeeper for Pitman with 16 career shutouts. He sends this one away. We talked about that boot, but the wind is definitely playing a disadvantage today as it is blowing across the field towards our direction. The thing about Alcyon Park as well is that the winds can get pretty intense as Connor Wendell comes in and picks that one up on a little roller, tells his guys to go out. But, I mean, even with a lot of trees around here, it does tend with the flat baseball field and the flat soccer field, it does tend to get pretty windy here sometimes, especially with Holly Lake just beyond our view here in Pitman. Definitely can cause games to be a little bit windier than normal. This is actually our first soccer game at Alcyon Park, which I mentioned in the open, but we've done enough baseball games here. We've done enough of pretty much every variety of sporting event here besides soccer to know that it can get pretty windy. I would imagine, though, with the wind blowing towards us, if they were playing baseball here right now, hitters would be pretty happy about it. But that one's a one-hopper. Pitman on the far side. That's Carr in the mix. Right side. Over now to Keefe. Guarded by Fayer. Now here comes a little straight-up shot. Tried to head it out that time with Ben Cameron as the shot from pretty far out from Lucas Razzie, no good. Wendell will send this one away. We're just under 6 minutes into this one from Alcyon Park. Early thoughts so far in this scoreless matchup.
Well, you can see Audubon is putting on the pressure. Even though Wendell has more touches compared to Zubert, Audubon is definitely applying all that offensive pressure compared to Pitman so far in this early 6 minutes. But, you know, they need to keep applying that pressure. Joey Zubert, as we mentioned, he's got a huge boot. He also has 16 career shutouts, which is, honestly, to me, as a goalkeeper, not at all easy, especially in New Jersey, anywhere in New Jersey. But Audubon looks to have all this pressure applying offensively, even though Wendell does have a lot of touches, so we're going to have to see that how Pitman applies their offensive pressure as well.
Well, of course, Chase, you were a goalkeeper over at Cinnaminson in the very heavily contested BCSL Liberty with Burlington Township, Northern Burlington, and Delran, some of the best soccer programs in South and Central Jersey. One of the first soccer games and one of the first broadcasts we ever did was October of 2021. It was a Colonial Conference matchup between Sterling and Audubon, and it was the record-setting game where Joey Lomas set the record for Sterling for the most consecutive shutouts most consecutive shutouts in New Jersey history. It was either New Jersey history or was Colonial Conference history. I can't remember, but either way, it was a massive accomplishment. It really shows how much having a good keeper is to your success, because Zubert, a name that a lot of people fear on the opposite side of the pitch. Here's Gallagher. Inside to Fair. Guarded by Carr, right side. That's headed down. That was number 6 that time, Owen Hurley. Now it's back over at midfield. Pitman and Audubon not really sharing too much up-tempo pace except for that one corner kick, but a lot of back and forth here as Wendell pile drives right there. Number 15, Grady Datz, the sophomore, on what is a relatively young team. Wendell has it again, right side. Moving forward, that is a very good ball. Novratidis in on that one. This could be trouble. It's headed away. Good stop that time by the senior Razzie. Novratidis defending. This one's back out to Xavier Nikan, who heads it. Another bounce.
It's a handball on Audubon. It's going to be a free kick for Pitman.
That's what I thought. I couldn't tell. The wind is making it so that I can't really hear the whistles, but that was Tristan Wendell who got called for it, and Zubert's going to take it. The starting lineup for your visiting Audubon Green Wave, you have sophomore Grayson Heller, sophomore Xavier Nikan, junior Anastasios Novratidis, senior Ben Cameron, senior Sean Rizzi, sophomore Tristan Wendell. As Zubert, again, a great boot that time, but a big ricochet brings this one back out to midfield for another battle between Datz and Tristan Wendell. Over out to the far side for Tyler McIlvaine. And this one will go out of play. Nikan will throw it in. Headed back down, and now Nikan has the possession. Touched by number 23, Aaron Furchin, the junior. Will resume that Audubon starting lineup. Senior Zach Fayer. Junior Aiden Stollard. Senior Dylan Gallagher. Junior Aaron Furchin, and then number 99, Connor Wendell in goal, as there's another collision. That one will go out of play. Starting lineup for Pitman tonight, you have sophomore Micah Frost, senior Owen Hurley, senior goalkeeper Joey Zubert, senior Max Papalardo, senior Jake Bowen Ashwin, junior Braden Carr, sophomore Tyler McIlvaine, senior Lucas Razzie, sophomore Grady Datz, and senior Trevor Leach. Also senior Drew Keefe, forgot about him as well. Now, Chase, this is an interesting question because I was always told back in high school and back with the interpretations of the rules that goalkeepers could only wear 0, 00, or something like 99 or a double number. But it's interesting that Zubert wearing number 8 in goal for Pitman today. I didn't know what the rules were, and I felt like because you're a goalkeeper, you might be the perfect person to answer that.
In full honesty, I've never heard that rule.
It could be a team-by-team rule for all I know, because when I was early in high school, we had a goalkeeper, John Perosi. He now pitches for Barry University in Gulf Shores, Florida. And when he was a goalkeeper, he wore, I believe it was number 88. And then the goalkeeper after him wore 00, and then the backup goalkeeper would wear number 99. And here comes a shot from Fayer, but a can of corn right to Joey Zubert, and he picks up the save. Good awareness that time by Zubert. Didn't have to move that far. I mean, right now the pressure is not the same as it was when we had our Northern Burlington Delran game. But I think, again, you're dealing with teams that are not in the same conference, have only played each other once. There's not a lot of rivalry here. This is the second Colonial game that Pitman has played, and really across all sports, Pitman has been known to play a lot of Colonial Conference schools. As Nikan goes out, and it'll be out of play for a Pitman ball. Braden Carr is going to send it in. But for Pitman baseball, for John Hopley during the 2025 season, they played 7 of the 10 Colonial Conference schools who played or who fielded a baseball team. As this one's popped up, and a perfect ricochet right to Connor Wendell, who takes that one in. Audubon themselves this year, they don't have too much this time of the season in terms of non-conference play. Their first 3 were all conference games between Lindenwold, Gateway, and Collingswood. And then they have Pitman, but then Gloucester, Paulsboro, and Woodbury. Their next out-of-conference game is not until Friday the 26th versus Pennsville. And then after that, they have Riverside on October the 3rd, Clayton on Friday the 17th, Buna on October 22nd, and then Woodstown and Shalleck to close out the year. So even though they don't have that many, I would say one of their first 7 matches are non-conference, but then 4 of their last 5 are all non-conferences. So that's interesting there. But most of these are teams that Audubon's played in recent years. Riverside, Woodstown, all teams that Audubon has faced off with many times in years past. As this will be a throw-in by Rizzi. Didn't make any contact that time. Got through everybody except for Grayson Heller. Batted down by Furchin, who pops it up. Again, Furchin using that taller 6'3" stature to get himself better reps that time and a better edge on the ball. Back out to the center for the defenseman, Aiden Stoller, to the midfielder, rather. That was, well, they have another number 8 on the roster. That's interesting. Oof, that's going to be tough.
Exactly.
They have a number 8 in goal, and they've got a number 8 at midfield. Here's Nikan, who's going to save it from going to Wendell.
I have a feeling that should not be allowed, the numbers 2 8s.
Yeah, I would imagine that's an oversight, if anything. And also, you know how the referees write it down for yellow and red cards. They have to figure out who they're talking about so that the players don't, they don't get anything mixed up and get a wrong suspension. Because I believe a red card is an automatic 2 games, right?
It could be 2 games. I think it could be the severity of what the red card was shown for. I think it just depends.
Well, the NJSIAA has different rules for different sports when it comes to disqualification because in baseball, if an umpire ejects you and they decide to write it down and report it, then it's an automatic 2-game suspension. Sometimes an umpire will just, throw you out of the game and then be like, all right, well, I'm not gonna bring it up. I'm not gonna make a big deal of it if they don't feel that it's they don't feel that it's that much of an issue. But most umpires will, and it'll be an automatic 2-game suspension. So again, I think you might be right. It depends on the severity of the red card, which would make sense. Even though a red card is still an ejecting thing, it's still a broad category of what it could be that could disqualify you. Over to Trevor Leach. Right side for Keefe. Guarded by Stollard. Got a little shoulder check that time. Now into the corner. And out of play onto the Alcyon Park baseball field. This broadcast is brought to you by Rowan College of South Jersey, New Jersey's premier community college, located right in the heart of Gloucester County in Deptford Township. To become a Roadrunner athlete, visit rcroadrunners.com, or to become a student of RCSJ. The next fall session starts October the 6th for accelerated courses. Visit rcsj.edu. Kick from just in front of Wendell's post this time by the defenseman Ben Cameron. Almost got to Gallagher that time, but now it's Novratitis in tow. Another little shoulder check that time. And another little shove there by number 7, Drew Keefe. We'll have a handful of substitutes coming in for Audubon. 2 in, 2 out. See who they call for here. I was saying earlier before we started that Audubon was known to make a lot of substitutions during the first half, but right now I haven't seen too much of that. Tristan Chain coming in for Audubon, along with that. Can't tell who else got in. I don't think I caught it in time. Here's Zubert. There's that boot in full effect.
Yeah, it's a 2-hand shove in the back.
Yeah, I saw that. Didn't know if they were going to call it, but
that's going to be called every time, especially when that distance is all of a sudden created between the two.
Right.
It's not the
It's a pretty obvious call to make. But again, this is pretty neat stuff from Zubert here. And what you'll notice a little bit off camera is that backing up Zubert is number 6, Owen Hurley. So while Zubert attempts this kick, he's got somebody to back him up in case this has a really wild ricochet. This one's up. Oh, headed out by Audubon there. Close call. And now another sweeping kick by Chain. By Rizzi, the defenseman. Right side, he kicked that ball off of his own head, Gallagher, that time. Had a little bit too much of a sharp angle. And now Pitman still trying to drive. We are 16 and a half minutes into this one. Scoreless at Alcyon. And that will roll out towards Pitman's head coach, Matt Newcomb. But yeah, Pitman playing Haddon Township, a sectional finalist from last year, a sectional winner from last year that again, is one of those programs that will never be irrelevant. When you think about boys soccer, especially Group 1 boys soccer in South Jersey, Haddon Township is that team that everybody will look at and say, yeah, those are the guys that, you really always need to keep an eye out for, because Haddon Township's just one of those programs that after state championship after state championship, they have built such a legacy, they can't really go wrong. Audubon and Pitman right now inside the top 12 for South Jersey Group 1. Audubon in the 9th spot with a 1-1-1 record, as this will be another good place, but Carr will be the one to send that one out. Riverside, actually, I'm surprised Riverside is number 1, but that is also because they have only played one match. They are 1-0, and it was a 4-1 win over Pennsauken. So Pennsauken being a Group 4 really complicates things, and it puts them in front. Meanwhile, Shalleck is in 2nd, Woodstown is in 3rd, and Woodbury and Haddon Township to follow in your top 5. So probably your top 4 is realistically Shalleck, Woodstown, Woodbury, and Haddon Township, a combination of those two. But the question you ask yourself is, are you going to find an opportunity where, Riverside gets out of that? Because, again, they've only played one match, but no team from what I've seen has played more than 4 at this point. New Egypt and Pitman. Actually, no, Maple Shade has played 5 matches. They're 2-2-1 at this time. Good early start, though. Here comes Stollard, right side. Gets through the legs of Micah Frost. But again, the 2 leading goal scorers from last year. Oh, here we go. 1-on-1. Dylan Gallagher. What's he got? Gets through him, and it's a goal. Dylan Gallagher. 18th minute that time as the senior barrels one through. A risky 1-on-1 matchup, and he bests the man with 16 career shutouts. He won't get number 17 today because the Green Wave just went up 1-0.
Yeah, Audubon definitely exposed that left side. And look, you can see Zubert, the leader that he is, rallying his defensive line. Talking real quick over that one. You can just, if we can get a replay on that.
Yeah, we're gonna get one real quick, but go ahead. I mean, that was a good goal right there from Gallagher.
It's a great finish, great composed finish by Gallagher. The left side of the field was wide open. I don't know where the left back was. Maybe he was pushed up too high, attacking Fair, and Fair just phenomenally put that ball through right into open space.
We caught it a little bit too late at the end there, but we are back underway. 18th minute goal by Dylan Gallagher.
But yeah, that's just exposing the one fault in the defensive line there. And Audubon makes him pay.
Kyle Brown in for the Green Wave. He is donning number 4 today as opposed to the number 2 he would have on the home roster. There's a little bit of a check that time between Tristan Chain and Jake Bowen Ashwin, another multi-sporter. We were talking about that South Jersey Group 1. Audubon right now is in the 9 slot. We already went with 1 through 5. 6 through 10 is Clayton, Pennsville, New Egypt, Audubon, and Pennsgrove. And then 11 through 14 is Maple Shade, Pitman, and 12, Palmyra and Gateway. And then 15 and 16, the last 2 teams to make it, Burlington City and Wildwood. Wildwood was a team that Pitman beat by a score of 6-0 earlier this season in their home opener. And then on the outside looking in, Paulsboro and shockingly Glassboro without a win this year. They were one of the really consistent Group 1 teams. They knocked out Audubon in the playoffs back in 2022 in PKs in one of the best games that I've ever covered. I believe it's on the DWB Classics YouTube playlist. They were really good year after year after year. And, again, it could be early in the season. I mean, I don't know. They're 18th right now. And then, again, Cape May Tech, Buna, and Salem are the teams that are currently out of the playoffs at the moment, with 16 teams making it in. But this game will also matter for power points. I mean, again, Audubon 1-1-1, Pitman 2-2. Neither team has played any programs outside of Group 1 this season. So with this being Audubon's first non-conference game, they still have, Collingswood's a Group 2. So even then, it's not like you're playing Group 4. That's the reason why Riverside right now is number 1, because they have one match, one win, and it's over a pretty decent Group 4 like Pennsauken. But I like the fact that power points are now becoming a effective, an effective mode of competition again. because normally they really watered down the PowerPoints for baseball and they watered it down for basketball. I like the fact that for soccer, it still is a winning strategy to schedule good teams. Because you think about it in the sense of college football. You think about it in the sense of if an FCS school plays a Power 5 conference FBS, even if they lose, they're still going to gain a positive experience out of that. And in this case, for high school boys soccer, it will really matter in terms of where your playoff seating is. That one is over to the right side, 2-on-1. Rizzi and Chain getting together, getting into it. And a good battle there ends out of bounds for Tyler McIlvaine, the sophomore. And now 2 more subs coming in for the Panthers here. So that will be let's see who's coming in. Well, first of all, coming out is Papalardo. Number 13, one of them, and number 8. So that would be the second number 8 that's coming in, and then number 13, Nate Newcomb for the Panthers. This will be a corner. First of the day for Pitman comes in the 22nd minute by Trevor Leach. No good. This one's going to roll out, and Pitman's going to have to backpedal here to retain the possession. They do. Passes it over to Newcomb. Right side over to the middle. Again, I like that kicking style there from Lucas Razzie, not doing too much with it and got a player down. Kind of got ran over that time with McIlvaine, and it'll be out of play. For those that look at our boys soccer schedule on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting on our Instagram, due to a business commitment, we had to drop next week's soccer game between Clearview and Washington Township. But we will be back on the air on September 29th or October 1st for boys soccer action. We'll let you know where we're going. We'll let you know what our plans are by next week on our Instagram and Twitter pages at Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. That was off the right side, off the shoulder of Lucas Razzie that time. Now over to McIlvaine. Taken over, believe that is, that's Anthony Dubon, the senior that time, one of the newer substitutions for Audubon. Audubon playing some aggressive defense here on Pitman's half. And now here you go. Zubert's going to come way out. He pops it straight up. Not straight up, but enough to get it at midfield. I feel like in a rushed situation like that, you can't really get that much power on it unless you line it up. It wasn't really his fault, but he just popped it up. Now a slide by the sophomore Dats. Now Zubert on his tail to the left side, and he is going to send that one way out of town. Oh, that's the Kia. Kia and a Subaru right next to each other. I think
double car hit action.
The soccer ball is not heavy enough to break one of the windows. Baseball is a different story. That thing was also going against the wind, but yeah, he don't send him the bill. Throw in Audubon. Over to middle, again touched by Lucas Razzie. And it'll go out of play with Micah Frost coming in for that one. First of all, a grand total of 3 DWB broadcasters working with us that are on these two teams. Mason Seymour, the sophomore for Audubon, and then Ben Wilden, one of our best up-and-comers on the sidelines for Pitman, and then Micah Frost, one of the starters. Also, he'll be joining us this fall. As we'll see stoppage here with number 27, Theo Felton, the freshman. He's going to attempt the corner on the far side. This one's up, has some good height. Here comes Zubert flying in. He went straight into the fire that time as Pitman still keeps the possession, and Zubert able to get a fantastic play out of it. As now Pitman still advancing hard. Nikan finally able to stop it, and it's out of play. This will be thrown in by Frost. Oh, that one's a good shot right there. Took it off of Kyle Brown. Somehow able to keep that one in. Lucas Razzie. Kyle Brown was coming in hard. And now Razzie able to get a stop over to middle to Bowen Ashwin. Back over to Grady Datz again. No stats for him yet this year. I'm sure he would be delighted to get his first career goal. Now over to Newcomb. Guarding Felton. Felton down. Audubon a little bit upset about no call there, but that might have been just one guy, not a consensus. Another couple of quality touches from Drew Keefe. Right side for McIlvain. Now it's Dubon who gets the turnover as another turnover to Bowen, Razzie. Popped up. Middle. Headed by Datz. Doubleheader by Newcomb. And it gets back to the ground for Razzie, who's been getting a lot of touches here as a midfielder in this first half. We are 27 minutes into this one, so about 13 minutes to play in the first. And again, because there's no scoreboard or video board like there was at Delran, the referees will keep the time on the field, and the time at the bottom lower third of your screen could vary by a couple of minutes depending on what the referees have to add, but we haven't had any stoppage time except for a goal, so no injuries luckily or anything like that, so we'll see what they go for. Also, what I'm noticing is that Alcyon Park got rid of their scoreboard that used to be where there's a wooden plank on the bottom where the referee is standing. And there used to be a little analog scoreboard there that used to be updated with the score. I don't think it had a time on it, but it seems like they got rid of it altogether. Again, this park owned by Pitman Public Works. The Millward family does a fantastic job here. Even during the off-season, you'll see even if you walk here during the winter months, they keep the baseball field in tip-top shape for when John Hopley and his crew come to town in the spring. Good throw in that time. Nikan comes in, and a shot to the left. No good by Micah Frost that time. He's got 2 goals and an assist in his career. That 1 assist coming this season. Novratitis coming back in for Audubon. And the sub for Pitman is number 9, Max Papalardo. So 2 original starters come back in the final 12 minutes of the half. From the right corner, shot by Cameron. Over to middle, stopped by Newcomb. Really good back and forth here. I mean, ever since Gallagher scored that goal, here we go. Now another chance for Audubon and an offside.
I would disagree, but I would argue we have a better angle from up here than the referee does down there.
That's the one situation where I would say that we have the better angle because we are maybe 20 feet up. I mean, actually, funny enough, if you look across the sideline, look at the VO camera. We're higher up than they are because of the hills at Alcyon Park. The reason why these are banked hills with kind of like bowls for the soccer field and the baseball fields is that back in the 1930s, this used to be a 1/3 mile dirt racetrack called Alcyon Speedway. In fact, if you look on the top of the baseball field's press box, or kind of the universal press box that services the 3 baseball and softball fields, there is a little old-style car. We'll show it when somebody goes out of bounds here. But now going in is Razzie. Right side for Bowen Ashwin. Now this one's popped up. Another chance for Keefe. Guarded by Stollard. Again, a very aggressive defender. He'll go in there with a lot of physicality, kind of lowering the shoulder a little bit. That one is a save by Connor Wendell, who comes in there on a tough spot. We'll see if we can show you this. Yeah, there it is. It's kind of a silhouette because of the background, but you can see it's a black car with the direction of the wind. And again, these steep banks on the walls or on the hills of Alcyon Park very much used to be the grandstands where they used to sit, and then the flat surface would be a 1/3 mile racetrack. And they hosted a professional stock car racing event sanctioned by NASCAR back in its first year in 1949. The track closed in the mid-50s and then was revitalized into a community park where it stands today. But there are still several monuments and, I should say, figure pieces throughout the park that dedicate the history of auto racing in Gloucester County and in South Jersey. to this park. We have 3 subs coming in for Audubon. Let's see who they are. Well, looks like Gallagher, the goal scorer, is back in along with Zach Fayer, and Tristan Wendell returns to the game. We were mentioning the fact that Audubon will make a handful, maybe a little bit more than most, substitutions as an aggressive header that time. A turn and go by Trevor Leach. Novratitis shooting through difficult space here, and that is going to go out of bounds. The wind still fairly aggressive today. Not sure how it will affect most of everything, but seems like most kicks that Zubert and Wendell have made have not been as strong as they normally would be, because Zubert will sometimes go 3/4 of the way down the field on a calm day with his natural boot, but he's getting hampered a little bit by this wind. Again, only 75 degrees today, but still a beautiful mid-September day as Zubert will send that one out. Oh, look out. That one almost went into the grandstands. I'll tell you, he will spare no one, Joey Zubert.
You can tell how confident he is just solely based off of how he runs out super strongly out of the box, maybe even 25, 30 yards away at points. You can tell he's very confident in that ability.
Yeah, and he's quick, too. He's somebody that not only has the agility that's required out of a goalkeeper, but he also has that speed that can really help him take shots even out of the box. That one's out. This will be thrown in by Keefe. He's going to take his time here. We're down to our final 8.5 minutes of the first half. Headed down, Newcomb drives Felton down. Felton will get up on his own there. Just seemed like a little contact. Nothing aggressive there. Thrown in along the line. Fayer has it. I think he tried to draw Audubon into a turnover there by throwing it so close to the line, thinking that maybe Fayer would kick it out and then Pitman would get much better field position, pitch position on the throw-in, because they would have been well past midfield if Fayer had sent that one out. As now that one goes out with Ben Cameron in tow, and now another sub, Furchin, coming back in place of Felton, who started several of the first conference games for Audubon this year, but did not start today. On the ground to Furchin. Back at midfield, not too much power for Micah Frost. I'm noticing both of these teams not really having a lot of powerful kicks outside of the goalkeepers. They're mostly keeping it on the ground. They're not really trying to flip the field too much. They're trying to be very gradual. They are trying to be very, I guess you could say, step by step with how they're operating. We saw that with Gallagher's goal where it was just an aggressive one-on-one. As that one is out. Looks like this could be a corner here, and it will be. For Novratitis, 9 goals in his career as a junior.
Audubon packing him. Looks like
here they
6
go.
Of their players at the top of the box.
Yeah, they've done that a lot of times before on corners, especially in tough situations, and now this is going to be sent out by Pappalardo.
It's great defending.
There's Stollard. A slide by Pappalardo that time. Fayer trying to work through. Again, he picked up his first career goal versus Lindenwald earlier this season. Prior to that, not having any career goals. But 9 assists all time for the senior Fayer. Again, Fayer's always been one of those team leaders, also a track athlete, a sprinter for the Green Wave track team led by none other than Dan Casenzo. Saw him on Saturday assistant coaching for Audubon football. That one is over the middle.
It's a great ball.
That is a great ball on the right side for Braden Carr, the junior. 4 goals, 5 assists in his career. Stopped that time, now starting to go again with Wendell and Leach getting together. Left side, here comes a power shot from Frost, and it's missing to the right. Wendell didn't have too much of a shot on it. To our right, to Wendell's left, and now 3 subs come in for Pitman in the final 5 minutes of the half. Again, the clock on the lower third of your screen is unofficial by all means, but we think that it's pretty accurate because we haven't had any stoppage time for cards or for injuries. Not even a cramp so far today. It's almost a miracle.
We'll probably see that more often.
We'll see it in the second half.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, you see it a lot more in football than you do in soccer, just because we were so frustrated with the fact that pretty much all 3 games that we did were cramp fests. I mean, all 3 games last weekend were over 2 hours and 30 minutes, which, again, football for high school probably should be 2 hours. 4 12-minute quarters, 15-minute halftime break. Assuming that you don't have a crazy game, probably should be 2 hours, 15 minutes. But again, with all the cramps, not even serious injuries, just cramps, all 3 of those games are over 2.5 hours. So it's good to see some teams practicing proper hydration this time around, I'll tell you that much. Stallard threw it in. Novratitis unable to get it, and it's a turnover. Now it'll be a throw-in for Keefe. Some nice shadows coming over the field here. Spin move by Leach. The senior tries to cross through a 2-headed defense, and we'll have a whistle that time, and they'll turn this one over.
Look like a shove in the back. That definitely is not what you want to do ever, but especially in that very important situation that he was in. He was crowding the Audubon defender with another one of his attackers right next to him. That's definitely not the smartest move I've witnessed.
Off the center of the chest of Keefe. Now it goes out of bounds. Novratitis throwing it in. Now back over to McIlvain. Keeping it along the near line. Chance for Carr to have another good shot. It's flailing, and Wendell goes out and saves it. Wendell sends it out over to the middle. Right side, Gallagher in tow. Getting the best of him that time, and getting the header is number 3, Liam Etter. He was one of those 3 newest subs that came in for Pitman at that last substitution change in the 32nd minute. This one will be stopped by Carr. We've talked about him a lot tonight, hanging onto that right wing, being able to create some good shots. Just nothing good so far for Pitman yet. But it's not a runaway game by any means. It's only 1-0 here, and a good start, as this one will be, looks like a goal shot or a goal kick. No, it'll be sent out this time by Cameron, the senior. Sent up. That wind putting a stop to pretty much everything, because now the wind is actually going side to side, and it's helping Zubert, and it's going to be a disadvantage to Wendell. Now in the second half, that'll be a different story. So Zubert really only has about maybe a minute or 2 to take advantage of the wind that he has until it turns over to be Wendell's advantage. Because now, if you're going to be kicking into the wind, even with a strong leg, you could only do so much with it, especially in a flat field. As again, another handful of substitutions will come in. Pitman will throw from the center with Frost. Headed off the shoulder that time, Novratitis. Novratitis has very twitchy footwork, and that's what I like about him, is that he is a very snappy midfielder slash striker. As here comes Zubert again, popping it up very conveniently during a lull in the wind. As now it will be Keefe, the senior, right side, off the leg of Rizzi. And that is the end of the first half. Audubon got 1 goal in the 22nd minute from the leg of Dylan Gallagher, who picked up his 2nd career varsity goal. It's 1-0 after 40. We'll take a quick 10-minute break, and we'll be back from the picturesque Alcyon Park for more action in Colonial Conference and Tri-County play.
Mental Health Awareness Month. It is the responsibility of all of us to make sure that our friends, family, and anybody who we hold dear in our lives is feeling well. The problem with spotting mental health issues is that the symptoms aren't that obvious. Just because someone is okay or appears okay on the outside doesn't mean that they're okay on the inside. It's important that if they are in distress, that they call the right people and they get the help that they need. And it is very important that we treat each other with respect, regardless of who you are or where you come from. But it is just as important that we treat ourselves with respect, regardless of the situation going on in our lives. If you're in distress, you can call this number, 988, or you can visit any of these websites if you're not in distress, but would like to learn more information about mental health awareness and research. In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties. With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV and getting insurance discounts.
We chose Harper, and so should you.
Jersey is the number 2 seed. As we said, they beat Manville 19-0 in the first round, which was even larger than Audubon's 16-0 win over Paulsboro as the 1 seed in the first round. That one's hit out towards center field straight away. Oh, she misjudged it. Got over her head in center field. Now this one's got a chance to be 3 bases for Spire. She's flying around third. Here comes the throw to the plate. It is not in time. What a way to kick off a semifinal with an inside the park home run. Emma Spire, who will take her talents to the Great Danes after 2026, lights up the scoreboard with a fly ball that got misjudged in center field. Uplight, he's, again, one time leaving the bases loaded is frustrating enough. Doing it twice in a row. Oh, how about this? Line drive. No, he's throwing it around the infield. They're going to throw him out at first. He's out. I have never seen that before. That is a 5-4-3 ground out because the third baseman thought he caught it. The home plate umpire said no, so he threw it around the infield and then got the out at first anyway because the batter thought he was out.
The batter stopped. The third baseman thought
Everybody
he caught
stopped.
it, and it touched.
Doubleheader reached first on an error in the first at-bat of Game 2. This one's lined into center field. Slider going over. He dives. Did he make the catch? Yes, he did. Ryan Slider makes the catch. Not on a slide, but instead on a dive. 2 away.
And this is going to bring up Andrew Petrick, who has a single in this game. And here's a fly ball popped up right field side. And it's fair. It's fair. They're going to throw to second for try to get this play. The force out. They got him, but the game is tied. How about it for Woodstown? They complete the comeback to make it 8-8. So now there is one out after Kubat let it fall in right, And because the bases were loaded, you know what? That's a very smart play.
Two minutes remaining. 4 fouls on St. Joe's. One more and it's a bonus, which would greatly help Gloucester Catholic. The moving green guard! It's a one-point game just like that! This place is going nuts! And now a drive to the basket by Spross. He lays it up and lays it in! St. Joe's has 2 timeouts remaining. Gloucester Catholic still has 3. Here we go. Mascaro pulls up. He goes to 3! 6 points! Jack Mascaro has tied the game with 90 seconds remaining. How will the Wildcats respond with a miss of
Jersey is the number 2 seed. It's Ogley to end the day for Luke Pokrovsky. Little pop-up, first base side, he calls for it. And for the first time in 33 years, the Charlotte Cougars will hoist the trophy and face Middlesex on Monday. 4-3. Cougars win it. And in the battle of green and gold, the trophy stays true with the visitors. What a finish! And Shalleck will pack their bags for Middlesex and the Blue Jays when the weekend turns around to Monday. Audubon 1, Pitman 0 here at the halftime break. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Chase Parson of Rowan College of Burlington County. It's been a good one so far. We saw a 22nd minute goal by Dylan Gallagher, his second in his career. as, again, these two teams playing after a year where when Audubon won 2-0 on their home turf, this year's matchup turns out to be different, not only in terms of results, but also in terms of personnel. It also should be noted that there are 4 players absent for Pitman in injuries. They have Aiden Epley, Logan Williams, senior Logan Sharpnack, and Mason Smith, who are all out with injuries. We saw at least 2 players with boots on, and also Audubon's dealing with a handful of injuries as well, including Alex Caladros, who during the night game versus Collingswood last week split open the right side of his face and had to get a whole bunch of stitches. So he is going to be out for a little while, but, I mean, I'll tell you, he is a warrior, just getting to know him. And like I said, I am an Audubon High School grad, class of 2024, but for Pitman, this is a good game for them on DWB. Like we said, this is their 30th appearance on the network outside of Audubon, who has over 150 because I worked with them for 3-4 years. Pitman would be second. They were tied with Gloucester for the second most appearances on the network with 29, but now Pitman gets their 30th. And for those curious, yes, they do have a winning record at 17-12 on our DWB network. You just saw on our archives program at halftime our first broadcast with Pitman. That was back in April of 2023 between Woodstown and Pitman, a game that Woodstown won 12-9. It was our first ever baseball game that did not involve a high school in Audubon. Getting the second half started with a touch by Nate Newcomb. Now back over to midfield for McIlvain. Now Frost and Carr, the junior. Popped off the left leg of Jake Bowen Ashwin. And now trying to find some space. Again, the wind is going to be helping Connor Wendell, the goalkeeper for Audubon, and for this second half with where it's headed right now, it looks like it's going to be a disadvantage to Joey Zuber, who will be denied an opportunity of his 17th career shutout. And you were saying, Chase, and I agree with you, that that's not an easy feat at all to accomplish. I mean, just out of curiosity, I'm not exactly sure how many did you have in your career?
Not enough for me to remember. Definitely not 16.
Yeah, it's definitely a high bar to cross. And
100%. I would probably say safe number, maybe 3.
Still, for a good Cinnamon program, when you're facing teams of that high caliber, it's certainly an important number to keep in the back of your mind. And also for Joey Zubert, again, 16. The most recent coming versus Pensgrove last week. And in fact, for Pitman, that goal that Gallagher scored was the first that Pitman has allowed at home this year. They beat Wildwood 6-0, and they beat Pensgrove 3-zip. And prior to that, they lost their season opener versus Haddon Township, always a Group 1 perennial contender, by a score of 2-0. Again, we're here at Alcyon Park. It is a windy 75-degree Monday afternoon. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Chase Parson on the call this afternoon. A little bit of a programming note for next Monday, Clearview, Washington Township. We did have to drop that game due to a scheduling conflict. And we will also be dropping the next week's game after that, Palmyra and Pensgrove. Oh, look out. I'm not sure where we're going to replace that one with, but we know that that is what our current plans are at the moment. This one will be thrown in by the sophomore Micah Frost. Mentioned him earlier that he already has 1 assist this year. The sophomore has 2 goals in his career. Looking for goal number 3 here as Cameron sends that one down. Now it's the second number 8 for Pitman who ends up coming in there. Now here is Stollard. Now over to middle for Gallagher again on the left side, looking for goal number 2. Couldn't get it there. He wanted a foul. A whistle came in very late that time, and now Joey Zubert is the one up in arms about it.
This is one of the things about the 2-referee system that is very, very unpopular. You got a referee that happened, look where it's placed, maybe like 25, all right, now it's backing it up, maybe like 30 yards away from the 18.
I think that was the referee in the back that called it, too. It was the referee in the back. The male referee.
When I looked at the back, he was near the Audubon bench, which is pretty far away from where that happened. So this is one of the most unpopular things about the 2-referee system. But they're doing what they're working with.
They're doing what they're working with. I mean, we're seeing referee shortages in pretty much every sport as Fayer keeps this one on the ground, and that one is way out of here although it looks like it's going to stay in, tried to head it back that time, and then trying to come in and get his possession back was Stollard. Audubon does hang on to it. Still on the ground for Fair. Rolling through the traffic, making contact with Drew Keefe. More contact there with Fair. And again, Audubon and Pitman getting a little bit more physical here in a 1-0 game in the second half. Headed and out of play. Rizzi had the last touch there. Chased out by Ben Cameron. This will be thrown in by Micah Frost. No, he will drop it and send it to Sean Newcomb. No, excuse me, Nate Newcomb instead. Yeah, I mean, listen, the football referees are also having that same problem. There was basically I want to call it an ultimatum that was basically you now have to schedule a game on a Thursday or a Saturday, at least one of your games that way. And if you want to schedule more, that's great, but at least one has to be, because not everybody can play on Friday nights anymore because of the referee shortage. Oh, that looked like that was in, and that looked like that could have been a handball on Nikon that time.
Yeah, he definitely kept that in, but at the end there, he definitely touched a bit of his hand on the ground, but
again,
on the near side didn't say anything.
Well, we didn't. Again, this is a very rare instance where I'm going to be on my pedestal and say, as Zubert, look out, look out, look out, look out. Hello, and goodbye. That one is well behind us that time. I almost made a play on it.
Almost. That would have been great.
That would have been a great DWB highlight if I made a play on it, but instead I banged my arm into the bleachers. Listen, I've only sustained one injury while working a broadcast. I want to keep that number low. I've come very close to catching a home run during a broadcast, though. That is the next thing on my checklist of my DWB bucket list is catch a home run during a DWB baseball game or catch a foul ball. Probably the more likely thing is catch a foul ball. Zubert will send this one away. And again, another good time for the wind to die down while Zubert will kick this one. Still gets caught in it, though. Headed down by Novratitis. Just not getting a lot of extra zip on it as it goes across the car. Back to Rizzi. Over to the middle. Nikon couldn't get there. Now still has the possession. Tries to offhand it on the left side. And spinning was Heller that time, the sophomore. Novratitis over the middle. Here comes Zubert, and he will again. He's playing target practice with the Gloucester County Woodlands here. As this will be thrown in by Novratitis. That poor ball keeper. Good thing there's a fence back there separating it from the real woods, but I think that shows the kicking power that Joey Zubert has. For Audubon, like we said, this is out of their first 7 matches of the year, this is the only one. Oh my goodness. We have now turned into target practice here at Alcyon Park. That's at least 3 times in a row where Zubert's kick has endangered somebody. High kick by Heller that time. I think Micah Frost might have wanted a dangerous kick call. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's something there. Referee doesn't see that one.
Didn't call that one either.
Watch him on this one, though.
Here comes Cameron.
Ooh.
Good slide. Good way to move the ball in all different directions that time as it gets headed down. Number 6, Owen Hurley, already with an assist for him this year. Back over to Furchin, the junior. Wendell whiffs on it. Back to Heller. Wendell with a chance, gets tripped up, and it goes back to Bowen Ashwin. Jake Bowen Ashwin, right side. Furchin tried to deflect, no good there. Good ball by the Panthers, but too many Audubon Green Wave were in on that one to really make it that much of an impact. As Bowen Ashwin again with another touch. Novratitis trying to work out of complicated traffic. Now over to middle again, aggressive head by Datz. Nikon popped up. Right side could be staying in. Heller makes a collision with Datz, and it's out of play, called Pitman ball, and we'll have a substitution on both sides here in the 48th minute. As we said, Audubon has won the last 4 matchups between these two, with a 2-0 final last year. Both of those scores by now graduated attacker Tyler Wiltsey. We mentioned in the open, I don't know if anybody heard it because people were still filing into the broadcast, but between 2022 and 2024, the 3 seasons where Tyler Wiltsey was most prominent, he and his brother Hayden Wiltsey, who is now at TCNJ, a starter for TCNJ, they combined for 52% of all Audubon goals. Over half were by Tyler and Hayden Wiltsey. And Wiltsey was actually close to 100 career goals. I believe he had 95 in his career. Now, to be fair, there are some teams in the Colonial Conference where, you can kind of beat up on them 6-0, 8-0, score a whole bunch in the first half and then bring the JV in. But there were times where, again, even in competitive games, where he would be either close to a hat trick or where he would get one. Zubert, way up. Headed that time. Audubon still keeps it in their possession, but at midfield. As again, Audubon in the right line of thinking there is driven from the back. And that'll be another foul. I think a good call there to get that shove in the back. Seen a couple of those called tonight. Over to, that was a tough one right there. Zubert will run out to the left on the head by Frost. This will be a corner by Novratitis. One 1-1 for Audubon this year. A loss to Lindenwald, a win to Gateway, and a tie versus Collingswood. Keeps it short. You hear Mike Tomasetti saying, "What are you doing?" right through the headset that time. He's a head coach where you'll hear it from him if you don't do it right. Here comes another shot. Oh, it almost went so close for Theo Felton. What a save by Joey Zubert that time, as, man, that was a close call. In the 51st minute. And again, now Audubon trying to not have to pay for those mistakes, where Novratitis didn't have the best corner kick, and then Felton, the freshman, was maybe a foot away as a stutter step on the corner kick. Stays in the possession of Pitman. Now it's back to Nikan. That one goes out at midfield.
That save by Zubert, that just shows how ready he is no matter what. You can see it all the time, rushing out of the goal and just clearing it away, getting the danger out. But you can just see even just his save and his acrobatic ability is close to none.
Over on the far side, that time it's out of play. Again, if you're just joining us, Audubon leads at 1-0 in the 52nd minute. Again, the very typical soccer setup where there's no scoreboard, so a lot of times the coaches, the parents, and the players and their mothers are asking the referees what time is on the field. We're keeping it for you up in the booth, but please note that the time you see on the bottom third of your screen is unofficial, and stoppage time could be added for whatever reason. Good deflection that time by Braden Carr. It goes out at midfield. This will be a throw-in by Nikan. Headed down again by Datz. And another aggressive send by Sean Rizzi. And that time Fayer's back was turned. Now another chance for McIlvain. Wendell goes in, and he's got it. Good boot by Wendell, well past midfield, again with the wind helping him that time. We said in the first half that the wind was straight at us and side to side, but now it definitely is running coast to coast and helping the Audubon keeper in Wendell. Don't forget, we've got more soccer on the air tomorrow from RCSJ Gloucester for JUCO action that ended in penalty kicks last year in the playoffs between the Middlesex Colts and the RCSJ Roadrunners. 4 p.m. kickoff from Deptford Township tomorrow. So same time and a little bit of a different place. And I imagine some of these fans filing in a little bit later in attendance. There is a JV soccer game between these two teams that will actually follow this one. Now what I'm confused by is that it's right now, it is 5:13. You imagine this game gets over right around 5:45. If you give them 15 minutes and you start the JV game at 6, there's no lights pointing towards the soccer field here. So I don't know if that's another 2-hour game, or excuse me, you know, if you get another 80 minutes in, that's going to end at 8 o'clock. The sun's going to set by 7:20. So I don't know.
I'm sure the two coaches will agree.
They'll figure
it
at
some
out.
point.
Yeah, I mean, listen, a JV game does not have the same level of structure. If anything, it has about the amount of structure as a Wild West town. But I've seen it before, though. Middle, Zubert. Now backpedaling, trying to buy himself some time. He's got it. And a boot. Gets past Frost, and it's out of play. Nikan to Belton, or excuse me, to Felton. Now Frost with another throw. Over to the right side. Bowen Ashwin gets it on the ground. Now here comes another chance. This one is popped up. Nikan couldn't get there. Bowen Ashwin tried to head. Here comes Wendell, and he gets in for the save that time in the 55th minute. Close call as Pitman tried to tie that one up, but unable to do so successfully. Low-hanging flyer that time. Nikan couldn't get there. Off the center of the chest of Papilano. No, excuse me, that's Liam Eder. Back to Cameron, the defenseman. Out of play. Nikan will throw it in. Now it's over to Novratitis. Double touch. Got really high on that leg angle that time, as he usually does. He's not that tall, but he can definitely make some damage as we've got a whistle and a foul. So Zubert will take the free kick. In your experience of playing high school, have you seen anybody else with this kind of expertise in free kicks as a goalkeeper?
I have not. I've had my fair share of defensemen who have been known to hit these types of free kicks instead of the goalkeeper, but Felton's confidence again. Oh my goodness. Reaching the
outer box line that time.
That's just incredible. There's a lot of defensemen that I've played with and that I've witnessed who have been able to do that, but a goalkeeper I haven't seen a lot of.
It's definitely unique. I mean, it's something where when we talk about Pitman soccer, usually the first line somebody says is, hey, you know they have that goalkeeper that just scores goals sometimes at will? It's kind of how it is. He does have one career goal, but I believe he had a couple of others in scrimmages. He scored, funny enough, September 16th of last year, he scored versus Overbrook in a 1-0 final in the second quarter, or excuse me, in the second half. Substitutions for both sides here. And in the article written by Rob Calloway, it was described that Zubert placed the ball perfectly with just over 10 minutes remaining in Monday's Tri-County Conference Diamond Division matchup, with Overbrook taking a direct kick from just inside midfield. Zubert launched a shot that just eluded the outstretched arm of Rams keeper Mark Scott and found the net for the only goal of the game. So yeah, it means one thing if you can score as a goalkeeper, but it means another thing if you can do it in a scoreless game that otherwise probably would have ended in a tie, because Overbrook and Pitman very similar in their styles of play. And obviously last year Overbrook was 9-10, Pitman was 10-9-1. So similar stretches. So it could be very, speaking of that JV game, could be very true that they just start going now, because you could see the JV players already warming up outside of the field of play. So They do have a little bit of space where that T-ball field is. Another corner for Pitman. See how successful this one will be. Taken by Carr, unsuccessful on the ground. And unable to get anything out of that one. Dat's back on it with Stollard. No, excuse me, Heller that time. Out into the near corner. Gets it back to Keefe. Now he tries to drive forward with Wendell and Nikan on his tail. Evades and unable to get anything out of it. It's out of play. Ben Cameron will pick this one up. So Cameron will touch this one over to the corner of the Audubon goal spot for Connor Wendell. Good boot by Cameron that time. The defenseman as now that rolls over. Gallagher tries to get anything going there as Hurley got in. Now on the far corner. Getting into it that time. Now it's back to Wendell. Almost trouble. Pitman keeps it in play and keeps it in their hands, keeps it in their possession. Now it's Dubon rather, who was on the far side that time, but a number that was very involved was Trevor Leach on that play. Entering the 60th minute here from Alcyon Park. This broadcast is brought to you by DAWG Professional Wrestling, the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. South Jersey's premier pro wrestling organization with high-flying events and nonstop entertainment throughout the Garden State. Visit DAWGProWrestling.com for more information. That'll be a push in the back that time against Audubon. Again, that's really the only physicality we've seen today. And for some that, they're kind of like soccer purists that want the game to just be played with no extracurriculars, this is, I don't want to sound rude, but this has kind of been an emotionless game. This kind of feels like two teams that they want to win, but it's not a rivalry game by any means. It used to be. If you ask Mike Tomasetti or Matt Newcomb or the now retired athletic director Grant Shivers from Pitman, this game used to be a big non-conference rivalry between these two teams back in probably around 7 or 8 years ago at this point. That's a good block by Dubon. Will go out of play, and now Pitman will have a substitute coming in again in the 61st minute here from Alcyon Park. It's a beautiful day. Wind definitely playing a factor in what is a 1-0 game. Could be our second in a row that would end 1-0. So again, both teams' JV players warming up, getting ready for their matinee later tonight. Yeah, you're right. You're saying that coaches will probably agree how long they get to play with JV rules and regulations. As over to the left side, Pitman's number 8, the second of those two. Back to Gallagher, popped up, whiffed that time back to Audubon. Now a good boot by Pitman. Left side for Drew Keefe, barely kept it in. Nikan collision, out of play. He will keep this one in his possession with a short throw. Gets past almost everybody. Now it's Heller to send it out. Back to Tristan Wendell. Dats in the middle. Fires. Over to Frost. Frost working through heavy traffic, and he goes down. Stollard gets in there as Frost rolling over. He will get back up under his own power. And it actually looks like doesn't have any limp or anything. He's going right back into it at midfield. Might even get a touch here if Audubon turns it over, but Audubon taking their time. Right side, it's Dubon. Back to Fair. Whistles. And Pitman going to try to get a quick free kick. And Zubert actually came running in and told him that he's going to take it.
Now with this Pitman offense, what I'm seeing, on the chances that they do start to build up and start to make an attack towards the Audubon goal, you don't see a lot of emotion. Look at this ball.
Wow. I was going to say.
He's just offside. That was a perfectly placed right onto the penalty spot, but he's just offsides. But as I was saying, whenever Pitman do start to offensively start attacking the Audubon goal, you don't see a lot of emotion in the midfielders and the attackers. Sure, when that ball is played over the top towards the corner flag, the only emotion that you really see is the winger running onto that ball. The midfielders and the strikers in the middle of the field, they kind of just start walking. They might pick up a light jog, but if Pitman really want to start putting on a lot of pressure on this defensive line and they need a goal. They're down 1-0. In order to get that goal, you got to start applying a lot more pressure, not just when you have the ball, but off the ball with your off-the-ball runs, and definitely with your communication.
I dare say we saw more emotion and more pressure in the first 20 minutes than we did, as now a whistle comes in from the backside. We saw more emotion in the first 20 minutes than we saw in the second half so far.
Here comes Zubert. Look at this.
Yeah, Zubert's going to come in for his best position yet. And again, they're going to have 2 defenders back there to back him up off camera on the right side of your screen. They're just going to keep 1 because that's going to be Razzie coming in, and then it will be Hurley. As Zubert, it was perfectly described when he scored his first and only varsity career goal versus Overbrook, how it happened. He's got the gloves. They're stopping the clock.
Oh, we got a yellow.
Oh, we have a yellow card.
Yellow card for 22 with delay of game. He stood in front of the free kick for too long. Referee gave him a yellow card.
Good description right there. That's Dylan Gallagher, who scored the first and to this point only goal of the game for his second career varsity. Novratitis will come in. Guarding Zubert, basically the closest in line to him, will be Felton, and I think Novratitis is actually going to take over. He's going to be the first in line. Felton will be the second. We're going to keep it right here. Watch this. Wide right. Wendell picks it up. And now, after the yellow card, Gallagher will get the sub right back in. So I believe in high school with the yellow card, you just have to sit out for 1 possession, and then the next stoppage, the next ball rolling out of play, or the next save or whatever, you're allowed to come back in.
That was probably one of the more bizarre things I've seen in my time.
Well, we got an update from a reliable source. I didn't see a yellow, but Gallagher got sent out because his knee started bleeding. It was a very physical game versus Collingswood last week. It was a 1-1 tie, and one of the sophomores, Alex Caladros, actually is out today because he had to get stitches on the right side of his face for an injury he obtained during that Collingswood game. I would say that game between Audubon and Collingswood was about 10 times more physical than this one today. So, yeah, I didn't want to correct you. I didn't know if there was a yellow card there, but
I honestly wasn't sure. I just assumed that's what it was.
Because the referee was in there. You used context clues. I can't blame you for taking context clues in a situation like that. Zubert at midfield, they're not going to take it with him this time, though. It's going to be number 16, Leach. Maybe they should have taken Zubert. Hello! Oh, that was a shocker as Wendell came in, shooting over the maybe 15 players on top of it like a shooting star, just came right in, and Wendell dives for the save.
Wendell was in a great position there. Rocket of a shot, but didn't need to move much. Still an impressive save.
Popped up and over the head of Zubert, out of play. Here in the 66th minute, going to the 67th minute. This broadcast is brought to you by Gray Fox Sports. For the best of the business in South Jersey sports photography, and to also get bookings for the best of the best in South Jersey, visit grayfoxsports.net or Gray Fox Sports on Instagram. Good friend of ours, Clearview grad Mike Taylor. Novratitis keeping it on the ground for Furchin with a flailing shot. Zubert looking to dive. He's got it. And coming in for that one that time was Ben Cameron, who tried to pick that one up, and then both of those guys coming together at the same time. Looks like Gallagher was in on that one as well. Midfield, Felton couldn't get it, neither could Fair. Now it's off the chest of Nate Newcomb. Now here is Cameron. So that definitely was Gallagher, not Cameron, because Cameron has solidified himself very solidly as a defenseman, not only in this game, but in his 2 or 3 years of starting varsity. along with his older brother Casey Cameron, now at Rowan. Shot just wide. You can feel the tempo picking up because I'm so used to calling JUCO soccer games that are 90 minutes. You're in the 68th. You only have 12 minutes left. And the more that Audubon plays their cards right, Nikan will try to stall a little bit on the throw. Gets it to Kyle Brown. Flailing shot by Datz that time. Good head by Weeks. Newcomb in traffic, stopped by Fair. Now over to middle here. We'll see how far they can get. Fair falls down, falls in the back of the ball.
Right, this time.
Yeah, this time we've got our first yellow of the game, and it's going to be on Pitman here. Clock stopped with 68:35 unofficially.
That was a great turn by Zach Fair just to get out.
I don't know who the yellow card got called on. Oh, it
It
looks like it was Bowen Ashwin.
Like I was saying, that was a great turn by Zach Fair to start that attack, and that's honestly the smartest thing that one can do if you're Pitman.
Yeah.
Just to stop the promising attack, and that's always going to be a yellow card.
Yeah, as much as they had an idea in mind to stop the attack, it wasn't the right idea, and it ended up costing them. Here's Cameron from deep, beyond midfield. One hopper to Fair. This could be a good chance. Zubert on alert. Couldn't get there. Pitman slides. They barely make contact with it, but it turns over to Felton. Now back to Novratides, looking for his 10th career goal. He's got 9 goals, 9 assists in his career. Fair back to Novratides. Right side, lateral to the goal. Headed by Chain, and coming in, weaving through the traffic that time is Joey Zubert. Zubert taking his time, maybe more time than I would think he would want to do here. That was interesting. Kind of flailed the ball out in front of him to try to get better position.
You definitely see that more often when you're losing, so that's definitely the smartest place to do it. Some goalkeepers I've seen do it just to time waste, but
in that situation, he was doing it to get better leverage.
Exactly.
Here is Stollard. Guarded by Carr. That one's out on the far side, and now Pitman makes a substitution. Now, I don't know. I remember during the Northern Burlington Delran game last week that the clock stopped with under 5 minutes remaining for substitutions, I'm pretty sure. Or at least that's what it did back at Delran, I'm pretty sure. But they also didn't have that many substitutions with under 5 minutes. I'd have to get a second word on that because, again, not a lot of fields have videos or digital scoreboards to actually keep the time instead of the referees. Back at midfield, that one stopped by Hurley. Over now on the left side, it's Keefe. 3-on-1 with Brown, Nikan, and Novratides, and it's Novratides that comes up with it. Now it's back to Pitman's number 8. Gets a foot in there, unable to do so. Novratides creating the offensive space. Couldn't get anything. He tangles with Hurley. Now to the right side for Felton. Looking for his first major impact as a freshman, as normally a starter, has gotten a lot more minutes in the second half. On the ground, back to Felton. On the touch by Hurley. Back to Keefe. They're going to try to drive here. They are 9 minutes left in regulation. Nikan heads it down. Over to the right side. Another good stop there. It'll be Audubon ball, but not in the field position that they would have wanted. Don't forget, later this week we have triple header for football. We have ACIT versus Triton on Thursday, September the 18th. Delsey at Kingsway on Friday the 19th. And then Woodstown and Woodbury on Saturday, September the 20th. Out of play. I believe last touch was Audubon, or rather Pitman. Novratides, he's going to take his sweet old time getting to the corner. With 71:40 is the unofficial times. You've got just over 8 minutes. He's standing there. Zubert gave a shove to an Audubon player who keeps backing up into him. Let's see here. Getting a little bit more physical here. Zubert's going to try to go out. It's popped up and deflected by Pitman. Another couple of close headers, and that will go out to the right for Zubert.
in that scenario, when there is a defender on the goalkeeper, or when there is a attacker on a goalkeeper, excuse me, one of the defenders has to leech off and get him away from the goalkeeper, because he's solely on the goalkeeper just to disrupt the runs. Anything that he reads, he's trying to stand in front of and just second guess the goalkeeper.
It's like trying to spot a head in a crowd. You know, it's not easy to see that when you've got somebody backing up to you all the time. But yeah, one of the defenders definitely should have come in and definitely tried to disrupt that movement there. This one goes back to Hurley. Keeps it on the ground. Now it's Furchin over to Brown. With one career goal in his freshman year, all the way back in 2023 that we had covered versus Paulsboro. Brown is coming out. So is Ben Cameron, shockingly. No, Cameron is in. It's Tristan Chain that's coming out. This will be a throw by Gallagher. Keeps it on the ground. For Fair. Still dancing along that corner. Fair will try to... He's just going to try to stand there. Gallagher gets a hit from Keefe and a whistle.
The best way I can describe holding it in the corner and shielding your body to waste time, the best way I can compare it would definitely be like a victory formation in football, taking a knee. Definitely does not end the play like it would in football, but definitely wastes a lot of time.
I think of the play in the NBA where you just, when you inbound, you roll the ball so that the clock runs, but the play clock or the shot clock doesn't run, so that you effectively take off time. I mean, in every sport, there are ways to manage the clock, except for baseball where there is no clock. In football, you have the victory formation, and in football, you also have those, you have that 40-second play clock where you only snap the ball when there's 1 second left. Basketball, there's ways to do it. Hockey, there's a clock, but you can hold on to the puck for as long as you really want to without taking a shot. So you kind of, again, force the defense to take pressure. There's sports where clock management involves you controlling everything. Meanwhile, there's other sports where clock management requires the defense to get involved, requires the defense to make a stand, because right now we're going to have a stoppage here. It's our first stoppage of the game for anything other than a goal. Actually, it might be our second, because there was one earlier when Gallagher had to run off. But that player is getting helped up.
I think he was just trying to waste more time, but the referee stopped that. That's the ability that these referees in high school soccer and I believe sometimes college soccer have the ability to do. They just, instead of letting them waste the clock like the professionals do, they're allowed to stop it, prevent that.
And I'll be honest, as a high school sports broadcaster, I enjoy watching high school and collegiate soccer more than I like watching the pros, because the professionals, they are almost trained to embellish or to exaggerate an injury for the sake of clock management. And I don't care what sport it is. I mean, I understand if you watch soccer for 25, 30 years, that's just how everybody does it. But that does not make me a fan. And I think that it takes away from the game. And I think, again, we talk about in a lot of sports how what high schoolers do is basically an evolved form or an inspired form of what the professionals do. As Heller almost fell away that time trying to send that one out. Wendell off the foot of, good slide that time by Razzie to break it up. Now a good throw over the middle. Audubon not really wasting time here, trying to go up 2-0. Right side. Zubert's left, he's got it, picks it up on the left hand, weaves through an Audubon defender, and now he's got not a lot of time remaining. 4 minutes now unofficially. Now entering the 76th minute. Headed, getting together is Carr and Cameron. Another one-on-one with Dats getting in there. Throw will be by Nikan. Right side, and it will go right back to sender, except a little bit better field position here. Right side, Felton stops the momentum. Now creating some offensive space here, tries to shoot it through to Novratitis. He's got it, but he turns it over. Now Novratitis trying to shield more there. I mean, Pitman could really be setting up a good play here with a wall of 4 defenders. Nikan, Cameron, Rizzi, and Stallard, all as defensemen. Headed off the chest of Newcomb. He still has the possession here. Now 3 minutes unofficially. Skipping over the head of Leach. 2-on-1, man down. Referee saw it. And no card, but the Audubon player that went down is off the field of play. But no, that wasn't the man that went down.
That's just a substitute.
That was just. I think that's one of the JV players that was ready. But it looked like they almost fell on top of each other as Wendell's got it. Falls on top of it. He'll do the old Trent Bantle move and try to save time here. Wendell in his first year starting as goalkeeper, taking over for the graduated Trent Bantle as a header by Zubert. He can really do it all. Now goes back. Zubert will take it again. Got some space here. This one will land right at midfield. The wind has definitely calmed down in the last 15 minutes, but it's been a talking point all day. Pitman kind of backpedaling, not really going in the direction that they want it to, but I'll tell you, the last 5 minutes of a match will always be the longest, and we're seeing that in full form right here. On the ground, Pitman trying to break through and out of play. Man down for Pitman. Now they will ask the clock to be stopped here. 78:25 is our unofficial mark.
So what I was saying earlier about Pitman really still has stood true. They really are not showing a lot of emotion, and especially in these last 2 minutes, a minute and a half, when you're down a goal and you're scrapping for one. I haven't really seen a lot of real encouragement to get that goal. Sure, they had that one rocket that was saved. They had a few flings at Wendell. But, man, you really need to test Wendell if you really want to.
Trevor Leach is going to take the corner, and if you notice, look at that bright orange jersey on the left side of your screen. That's Joey Zubert again.
I will go ballistic if I witness a goalkeeper goal. As a goalkeeper.
As a former goalkeeper yourself, yeah. It's one of your people. Here we go. Zubert coming in. It's headed. Just got out of it that time. Now here comes a far shot. Overshot the goal by a mile that time. Lucas Razzie had the right idea but angled it too high. And now Pitman themselves placing this ball for Audubon in the corner here. Ben Cameron will send this one away again. Again, right idea. If the wind was a little bit stronger, that probably would have been dropped more. But because the wind is now calmer on this side of the field, see here, right side, rolling across the white line. Back to Liam Eder, the junior. Wendell coming in, Tristan Wendell that is. Not his older brother, goalkeeper Connor. Stallard has it, shoots it into his own sideline.
Stop the clock there.
They're stopping the clock. Interesting. I think because maybe the ball keeper on that side.
Yeah, he was all the way at midfield. That ball is.
They want to make sure that Audubon does not try to, I don't know what the word is, try to waste the clock in bad faith. Yeah. I guess is the right way to put it. Nate Newcomb will throw this one in. Again, he's lined right up with that outer white line in the goalie's box, or on the, should say on the second line here. Looking at just about 45 seconds in regulation, would imagine some stoppage time would be added, but we won't know how much. Man down. Sent far out into the parking lot.
It's going to be a corner. He wanted a penalty. The fans sure wanted a penalty, but that's definitely was a clean tackle.
Man, if there was a penalty shot to tie this game, that would have sent this crowd berserk as well. But now time is of the essence because the clock is still running. But we will see how much penalty time, or stoppage time is added. Another corner. Zubert again back to that position. Here he comes. Headed. Left post. Another shot. Another block. Oh, my goodness. That ball is out. The ball is out. What a stop. This is unbelievable.
Zubert's got to get back to his position. There's a man down.
And it's going to be a free kick.
Oh, my goodness.
And they're going to stop the clock. It's going to be a yellow card.
Yellow card on who is the question?
I think it was Joey Zubert.
If the yellow card's on Zubert, then he has to sit out a play.
I think for goalkeepers, I believe it's different.
You believe it's different for goalkeepers?
No,
I think I have seen that before.
I've seen it before. It happened to me. But I believe, I think it might have changed. I'm not sure. Zubert, I believe, almost had that goal. I saw it deflect off of him in the midst of that crowd. That was crazy. They did stop the clock.
Never seen anything like that. Goalkeeper gets the yellow.
And that's going to be the game.
That is the ball game. Audubon wins it 1-0 and maybe one of the best defensive stops we have seen in a long time, as at least 4 or 5 shots got off in the last minute. Zubert got called for a yellow. Audubon's free kick was enough to stop the momentum, and Audubon, in their first non-conference game of the year, wins it 1-0.
Look at the conversation between the head coach and the referees.
That's Matt Newcomb. Obviously, you can't do much now that the whistles have flown. This isn't like, I mean, because the game is over and the game is lost, he's going to get his money's worth. But he's definitely...
He might have believed it was a goal, which it looked...
We didn't
our
have
angle
a best,
didn't have it.
Our angle didn't have whether the ball went through. I'm sure if a consensus of his players said that it went through.
It's going to be a yellow card for Newcomb.
Yeah, they're
sure that does a lot.
I don't think it does much of anything. I mean, we've seen before.
It goes on a record, though, for coaches.
It goes on the record, but I don't think he cares. Because his team lost the game, he wants to get his money's worth. And again, frankly, I don't really blame him. We saw a situation last year in a game between Deptford and Cumberland where the head coach for Deptford actually received in a 0-0 tie a red card after the game was over because he was so upset. That was another case of just getting your money's worth. That's really all it was. And again, man, what a night it was for Audubon. Goal comes in the 22nd minute for Dylan Gallagher, and that is the final from tonight. Audubon 1, Pitman 0. We will not have a post-game interview today because Audubon's going to be getting ready to get on the bus and get out of here. Our next boys soccer broadcast, well, we do have JUCO soccer tomorrow from RCSJ between the Middlesex Colts and the RCSJ Roadrunners on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting at 4 p.m. But again, just an unusual game bred from unusual circumstances, and the Green Wave pull out with a win to get 2-1-1. Pitman goes to 2-3 on the young season as they lose their, I believe they're now 0-2 in non-conference play after losing to Haddon Township to open up their season. But Chase, before we go, some quick thoughts on this game.
Well, if Pitman going forward wants to learn anything from this game, a takeaway would be you need to show more emotion, more encouragement in that attacking third. There really wasn't any on display today until the last couple of seconds, and that really came back to bite them. You know, not scoring a goal. You're going to look back at this film if they do get it from maybe even us. It's free for them.
We're higher than we are higher up than that VO camera on the sideline.
We have a better point of view, but if they go and watch this film and they analyze themselves, you're going to see the attacking third just did not have enough encouragement and empathy to try and get that goal that they've been scrapping for. And if they want to take away anything from that game, you have to start attacking with more emotion, more encouragement.
And I'll tell you this, I mean, first of all, for Audubon, Connor Wendell, that's his second career shutout. Picked up his first versus Gateway last week. Now picks up a big win for Audubon, who is 3 spots ahead of Pitman in South Jersey Group 1 power points. Neither team in the top 8. Both teams would travel on the road if the season ended today. But Audubon is the 9 seed. Pitman is the 12 seed. They now come out of this game really with a mindset of, yeah, this is a team that we could face in the playoffs, maybe in an 8-9 game or a 7-10 game. And that all comes down to what's going to happen for the rest of this season and what's going to happen for the rest of this week. Audubon doesn't have any team higher than a Group 2 scheduled. Meanwhile, Pitman, we'll see what they have, but out of their non-conference games, all of Audubon's non-conference games
are Group 1. Meanwhile, it seems like Pitman is going to try to get some extra power points of their own because they play Group 2 Overbrook twice in Diamond Division play, and then at the end of the season they have 2 non-conference games versus Holy Spirit and Williamstown. Holy Spirit's a pretty big group, non-public, and then Williamstown's Group 4. And the last time that those 2 teams played, Williamstown did win 3-0, but that's always been a late season staple for Pitman. So we'll see if maybe Pitman can try to get that late season edge, but neither of these teams really going for gold with those non-conference selections. Either way, though, this was still a great game. I'm going to circle back real quick to what you were saying about that emotion. That's not something that you can teach in drills. That's something that you teach through the culture. You can teach how to have better footwork. What do we got here? Oh, yeah. Well, sorry.
You're just saying nothing.
That's right. That's right.
Green.
We're seeing green. We're seeing this JV game about to start. But, yeah, we'll flip this back to us for a couple minutes. But, yeah, what we were saying about this Pitman team was that you cannot teach emotion or versatility or aggressiveness through drills. You have to teach that through the culture itself. And we saw that really come to the forefront for Pitman today. And now we find themselves with an under 500 record in their 5th match, 2-3 this year. And I 100% agree with you that is something that they'll have to work on. Is sometimes it actually hurts to not be aggressive. And that's where it hurt them the most today.
Definitely. I mean, just watching it, as I was coaching how I grew up, as my father was coaching me, you have to attack with emotion. That's the biggest point that I've taken away, and even in my time as a goalkeeper, which is fairly newer, you still have to play every position with emotion. And if it makes me upset and frustrated watching everybody, and that attacking third just with no emotion, no empathy, trying to claw for that goal, I can't even imagine how maybe even Matt Newcomb and maybe when they replay this back, the attackers, how they watch and how they will feel. But that's definitely a takeaway. That's my key takeaway for Pitman. For Audubon, it was really, really big flip. They attacked with a lot of emotion. I would say that this game would be a perfect one to watch. There was a lot of defending, a lot of well attacking, a lot of great possession by Audubon. The score definitely does not tell the story. It was really close defensive-wise, but offensive-wise, Audubon had a lot of part of that attack.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, Audubon goes into this now. They have 3 non-conference games coming up. They've got Gloucester, Paulsboro, and Woodbury. They probably will win at least 2 of those 3. I mean, Woodbury will be a good game for power points. They are right now 4th in that power points for South Jersey Group 1. And then Pitman not only has 3 conference games, they have 3 divisional games, Overbrook, Glassboro, and Woodstown. So it's going to be interesting to see a quick 2-game road trip for Pitman. They come into this one. It's their 3rd home game of the year. They had shut out. They hadn't allowed a goal all season at home. Now they lose 1-0, and Audubon will go home with an upper record of 2-1-1. Any final thoughts before we close out tonight?
This was a very, very well-played game for Audubon. As I'm going to hip-hop off of what I said earlier. This is definitely a game that you'll want to watch back, and you still want to analyze some things, but majority of it will be a lot of positive and a lot to take away. You want to continue playing the balls to the corner and run on to that. Zach Fayer, as you mentioned earlier, he's a sprinter for the track team at Audubon, so utilizing that is definitely a huge motivation factor for Audubon. Pitman, I said it a lot. I feel like I don't need to say it again. Definitely a lot to look over in this film.
Yeah, and again, 2 veteran head coaches. It all came down to the 22nd minute goal by Dylan Gallagher. He earns our player of the game honors today. Had a lot of great balls offensively, had some good stops on the defense as well. Really versatile player, and the senior and younger brother of Audubon alum Patrick Gallagher comes away with our player of the game honors. From our entire crew on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, our social media coordinator Haley Mejia, our graphics crew Gavin Van Rel, Caleb Lane, and Carson Rosso, my producer and color commentator, the new kid on the block, Chase Parson, I'm Dan Wilkins. We will see you tomorrow for a doubleheader. We've got Middlesex and RCSJ at 4 o'clock, and then we go back to the DWB studios at 8:30 for an esports feature at Lime Rock Park in BPNR Online Esports Auto Racing. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one, folks. Audubon wins this one 1-0.